I remember this one time I was at a bar with one of my wingmen, and he made a penis joke, and the girl goes, "Ooh," and like walks away, but we didn't care because he wasn't trying to impress her, and we just keep laughing and keep talking. I see her look over, and she sees us not caring that she walked away, and she's like, "Okay," and comes back, and she's like, "I guess that was funny." I was like, "Yeah, of course. Penis jokes are always funny."
Penis jokes are always funny. Look, are you the type of guy who goes out to the bar and you start a conversation with a girl and it seems like it's going really well, but then she turns her back and leaves, doesn't talk to you for the rest of the night? Well, you know what? We're going to help you.
In this video, we're going to teach you how to stop being so boring.
For me, I'd summarize as breaking down into two things. Have some scripted material that you've either thought about or wrote out that works for you. So congruent with yourself, your own stories. Don't copy someone else's stories. And one way you do that is, I think of women as being more visual creatures, right? So when you describe something to them, use descriptive words, more adjectives, make it more something they can connect to. It's just like writing, I used to write profiles for some of my clients, like on Match.com back in the day when that was still a thing. I had a client, he lives out by the very far west part of Las Vegas near the mountains. And I would say something like, "Oh yeah, I like to wake up every morning, look at the sunset over Frenchman Mountain as I climb to the other side to enjoy the beauty. I retired long ago," because he was essentially retired. "I retired long ago to live a life of fun and adventure. What are you doing right now?" was like his beginning of his profile, right? I wake up in the beautiful sun. She'd go, "Oh, okay, the sun and the things and all these visual things that she can see in her head." The other major thing would be taking improv classes. Yeah. Like, go do improv. Yeah. But simple techniques like yes and, any other just go with it type of improv thing, super helpful when you're talking to girls.
Yeah, you're practicing fun and conversation and just like having a good time, bantering.
Yeah, and making instant, it kind of gives you on a more technical level, like you can instantly reframe certain things or misdirect things or mishear things. Like one of my favorite ways to flirt with girls is just to mishear what they have to say. So I was teaching at in the Roosevelt over here in LA, and I had this guy, we were sitting on the corner of the bar and the other girls were sitting on the other corner of the bar, so it was like a right angle, and I couldn't hear the girl farthest away from me very well. But my guy had asked her, "Hey, how do you guys know each other?" And she's like, "Oh, this and that," but I couldn't hear. So I heard something about her brother and this other girl. So I was like, "Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear that. You said you know her because you're sleeping with her brother?" And she's like, "No, I never sleep with her brother." I'm like, "Would you?" And she's like, her friend like looks at her and is like, "Would you?" Right? It just creates all this cool, fun tension to work with.
I like this misinterpretation. Once a girl told me that she was studying tourism, and I reframed that into, "You study threesomes."
Nice.
Right? And you just go into the, like, it's just a way to steer the conversation where you want.
So you have to be leading the conversation, or at least steering the conversation into the right direction. Because if not, if you've ever listened to just a group of girls talk together, it's complete chaos. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all over the place. And that's why guys can get away with, a lot of guys try to talk to girls in a very logical guy manner. Like, "Where are you from? What do you do?"
I need to get the facts.
I need the facts now, and then we can just go right back to my bedroom. But, you know, it doesn't ever work that way. Steering that conversation is this ultimately the most important thing, like knowing where you want to go. So like this guy who doesn't know what to say. "I don't know what to say to this girl. She just keeps leaving me all the time. Well, number one, what do you want to do with her?" "I want to take her to bed." "Okay, well, how do you get there?" "Uber." Like, cool, man. You ever drive for Uber?" "No." "Okay, well, you ever been in an Uber?" "Yeah." "What's the craziest story you've ever had in Uber?" "Oh man, this one time I was in an Uber, this dude was smoking cocaine, and this crib," I'm like, "Oh, that sounds really interesting. You could say that." "No." "Of course you could." Like, he's like, "No, I couldn't say that to a girl. She doesn't want to hear that story." I'm like, "But it's funny." "Do you think it's funny?" "Yeah, I think it's funny." okay.
Yeah, exactly. That goes back to what to actually do when you're stuck, because I guess even us that know what to talk about, sometimes we just don't know what to talk about. In this case, it helps to have some go-to things to talk about.
Yeah. Or you just talk about anything.
Yeah, like anything about yourself, like something about you. But there are also topics that are always going to work, such as something related to emotions, something related to psychology, because every girl thinks she understands psychology. Anything related
astrology.
to astrology. But however, with astrology, you got to know what you're talking about, because
Some girls are way
usually
better than you
they
at that.
do, right? And also Disney movies, like stuff like that. Just bring a topic related to these things, or sex. Usually, depending on where the conversation is, those topics always hit their target.
Unless she's a prude, which you probably don't want to talk to her anyway, but
They like to talk about sex.
I'd add traveling into that, because I would say most people travel nowadays since it's gotten so affordable.
Some variety in
Yeah.
the conversation. That's important. Be funny, then be sad. Like, not necessarily sad, but be serious. And
so like this.
The roller coaster, or the
Yeah, like Julian would say, they want to experience a roller coaster of emotions. It's not just this. It needs to be the up and the downs and the turns and the spins. and everything
Many
else.
songs out there that women listen to actually just talk about how to feel alive, right? So that's pretty much what they use. It's also what we want at the end of the day. We want to feel alive. They want to feel alive. So create the life of the bar. But yeah, I also think that there is something in reframing the I feel that I'm boring to I feel bored. Right? Because usually the problem is that the conversation is boring for both.
Yeah, that's true.
And so if you reframe this from I'm actually boring to I am bored, you can just say I'm bored, and that reframes the conversation to, like, not, it shouldn't be used as a manipulation tactic to make her feel boring. But if you just say that you're bored, she cannot tell you that you're boring.
I feel bored. Let's do something fun.
Yeah, let's talk about these people. You can pick out people, couples in the bar. You can make up stories about them. This is also how you can turn the conversation sexual. Talking about, Dave and Brenda, they haven't had sex in 3 months. Brenda comes home late at night. It's like, good thing we're not like that. Good thing our sex life is just on point. You can turn it around and talk about these topics out there, and then turn them around onto the both of you the way that you want, right? And then again, that's going to be connecting you, creating that conspiracy, creating that bubble, you against the world. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a great practice on improvisation too.
Yeah, us against them framing. Yeah, that's really good.
And a lot of guys struggle with the fun. Like, that was a good role play. They say they don't know how to have fun in a bar or on a date. And what they do is they try to make the girl have fun. They try to basically impress her. Like, how can I make her laugh? What can I do so that she has fun, instead of just focusing on them? If you have fun, then she's gonna have fun too. If you focus on what you enjoy, she's gonna likely enjoy it as well, because energy is contagious.
Yeah, I guess why guys are usually boring is because they're afraid to take a risk.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's self-rejection.
yeah, it's simpler to just feel that you're boring, so that she had to leave, instead of you making a move and that was a wrong move, right? So the art is just to learn how to calibrate that, just take a step, a leap of faith, and see what happens. And usually it goes better than we expect.
And you find out when you start taking these chances, especially when you have a goal, for example, like I'm going to go out and get rejected tonight 10 times. You start, and I'm not saying like aberrantly going for vulgar things that will repulse women and push them away from you, but actually going out and just talking about stuff that you think is going to be boring to them, or stuff you talk about with your friends. And you start discovering that the things you've always thought you're going to get rejected for, people actually, and women actually love you for, right? Because guys all the time ask us, how do I keep the conversation going? How do I keep her interested? I was like, well, when you're around your friends, are you thinking about that? Or are you just speaking from your feelings, right? It's kind of the same thing, except you're adding some teasing, some tension, some flirting, right? And when you get into that flow state, like we were saying earlier, when the conversation develops a life of its own, then that's exactly how it is. It's like you're around your friends, not friendly, mind you, but with the tension, with the eye contact, with the flirting, with the teasing, with the games.
Yeah. If you don't know what to say, just start with I feel. Yeah. That's it, and just finish with whatever you want.
I would say really the last thing is just lead an interesting life, generally speaking.
Yep.
Like me and you, we used to travel together for like 3 years straight, and you always have something to talk about when you're traveling. Like, you remember that one time we were in Japan and that old guy like fell off his bike, and like me, you, and that chick that was staying at the hostel went and like helped him up and like moved him out. Like, right, you always have something interesting to say when you've been traveling and doing different things.
I remember before I started traveling, I would read these routines or these stories online from dating coaches that they said this would work. So I would recite other people's stories thinking, oh, this will be interesting. And I think it gave me some confidence, and it was probably my energy, and it was interesting, but I felt like crap because I was literally going up to girls and saying, hey, have you ever been to China? I just got back and the craziest thing happened, and I had not even left the US, and it was all BS. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. Go live your life, and you'll get stories.
I had a student who was working on storytelling and actually how to become interesting. It was exactly this. And I gave him my stories just to give him an example. And he used the same stories literally as I said them.
You have him mic'd up, and you're like, what the heck? He's using my story.
I've actually had that happen too, no lie.
Sometimes they get the result, and that's very bad because they like you can memorize one story, but you cannot memorize
7 hours or a lifetime of being a badass.
Look, if you want to know what to say to start the conversation, whether it's at night or a bar or club or during the daytime, and how to keep that conversation going in an attractive way so you never run out of things to say, and so that she becomes more and more interested in you and wants to go on a date with you, then make sure to download our free conversation cheat sheet. We'll put a link down in the description and to the right of the screen. If you want to be mentored by any of us or all of us, then make sure to click the link below down in the description to get more info. And leave a comment down below. Let us know what other videos you'd like to see on this channel, what other questions you have that you want us to answer for you. This is the Attractive Man team, and we'll see you in the next video.